I got to ask you, are your night terrors getting any better? I heard, I say we can cut that out if you want, but I was so curious about that.
Well, so I was in
First
Vegas
off,
and I got this.
what are night terrors? I guess if we're gonna Scott, was poking around the internet and doing some research on you. He learns that you have what's called night terrors. And what does that even mean?
It's a good question. Kind of like, you ever seen The Sixth Sense, like the I See Dead People kid?
Yeah.
So everyone has there's all different types or whatever, but I feel like I'm fully awake. And obviously I'm not awake, but I feel like I am. I'm in wherever I went to sleep, and you wake up and a lot of weird stuff. Yeah, for instance, I knocked out my tooth. There was basically a big dog chasing me, and I woke up and I'm running and I dove down the steps, and as I'm in the air diving down the steps, I'm like, there's no dog in my room. And I busted out my front tooth. So that's the only tooth I lost. It was actually from a night terror. Basically see stuff in the fire when the fire is not on. It's a little strange. So interestingly enough, when you're traveling a lot, you run down a lot, you're run down on B vitamins. B vitamins is what's your energy, but that also creates melatonin. So melatonin is what helps keep you asleep. So a lot of times if you're really run down, you'll see a lot of the military guys have it. A lot of action sports people have it. Sheckler actually has night terrors, which was really funny because I took off yelling, screaming, running one way. This is a long time ago. Sheckler was yelling, screaming, running the other way. And my roommate, who normally, Chris Haynes, who normally didn't care if he heard me running, he was like out the door in his underwear, like, what's going on? We're like, oh, just night terrors. He's like, well, if just one of you, I wouldn't have been so concerned. But two of you all running from opposite rooms in different directions.
So does that mean that it happens while you're asleep? Is it like a dreaming and you're having a nightmare kind of thing, or?
Yeah, for the most part. So, like, for instance, one of the first times I had a night terror, I was like 12 years old, and I was in a hotel room with my parents out in Vegas, and they woke up and the doors open. My feet were all bloody. I had run about a half mile across the desert from our Motel 6, just in my underwear, barefoot, full sprint, before I noticed that that I was dreaming or what I was running from. So I go back to a couple years ago. I was on an airplane, and I fell asleep while I was on the runway. And this is what I'm most afraid of, is like this, one of those agents are going to be on, and I'm going to be running towards the cockpit. Luckily, I was running towards the back of the plane and not towards the front of the plane, screaming at the top of my lungs, running as fast as I can to the back of the plane. And we're still on the runway. And they're like, everyone, please sit down so we can take off. And I had to walk back past every one of these people. Oh, sorry, my bad. And everyone's like, what the hell just happened? So I try not to fall asleep on planes anymore, although the night terrors are getting better. But I had an awesome hotel room in Vegas, and I was about to go to sleep with all the doors open. And I was like, man, this is a bad idea. I'm going to wake up jumping off the side of the building. So I try to double latch all the doors and try to make sure that I wake up before I do anything stupid.
Is there any footage of you having night terrors?
No. And if there was, I would definitely not tell you.
Yeah, dude.